useful tag which helps us to traverse one by one multiple records, multiple records, and process them. Okay, one by one multiple records and process them. Okay, this is one thing. And in this or iteration, please note the supportive entity you are going to get, the supportive work you are going to get is the items which is going to have the, let me mention that also, or iteration is that. Second, items is list of records or values to process. And third, where is a temporary variable, okay, which keeps value in it from list. So this way we traverse the record, and then whenever you have any requirement in real-time project, please note we are going to follow this path only, iteration or iteration. Okay, so it's like a kind of looping things for you, processing one by one record. That's it. So what we did now, just we created tr. It's the same thing which we have, which you might have done in HTML code. The format of creating table, first of all we create the table. First of all we have table tag, then table header tag, then table row. That's it, in table header. Same thing we do in HTML. And then same, then table body. So this is nothing, this is not something you need to remember. Speaking about the speaking from the experience point of view, these are the things, they are nothing but to remember. They are just going to, these are just to just save somewhere, use whenever you need, modify the value, that's it. Because these are the things which doesn't bother you a lot. This is just display things. The main thing which we must focus on is a logic that comes under the JavaScript or Apex controller. So suppose you need to create a table in your future. Let's say you are going to create 1000 tables in your Salesforce career. Are you going to keep typing all these things again and again? No, we don't do that in real time project. We don't have that time also. Copy the code, paste it, modify it, and focus on logic. Okay, so these things are pretty much straightforward for you. You are going to work in the same format. Just copy the code, make some kind of modification, tr th, change the name, change the value, that's it, done. Okay, and yeah, then once it is done. And by the way, this is showing one hyperlink which will not do anything as of now. We are going to work on this later words, okay, because I have some extra additional business case to be discussed on this in later words. So we'll discuss about this later words. Next, come down. So what I'm doing here, I have three headers, right? Account name, type, and all. So I have three values also. So see, tr, then td1, account type, account phone, and this way I'm mentioning the values like this. You can see here, so I'm mentioning three different values for you. And yeah, that's it. So this way we are performing this activity. And if you see the output, let me show you that. Now let me show you the output. And by the way, any question till this point? Everyone clear? Any question till this point? Everyone clear? So everyone clear to this point? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, fantastic. So please note now here, this tr or td value, which is what is there, we are going to make some small modifications into that. And as I said, let me just show you. So here, let's make some kind of modification as per the current situation we are right now working on. and then let me open the lightning component to show you the information. So let me go for preview. Okay, so you can see we have made some modifications in the code, and the code was having some multiple the code was having the activities of multiple rows, and it was starting with the necessary values. So we did the same thing, and now here in the component, in the display component, you can see we have one tr, and now we have 1 2 3 td. Okay, that is in one row we have three values, that's it. Okay, and this work we have shown in terms of hyperlink, means the value in this td is hyperlink, that we are going to see, by the way, later words when we are going to modify it. That's it. Okay, so here instead of just showing a simple value, we are showing it in terms of hyperlink, and what actually we are going to do with this hyperlink, that will be the next activity. Okay, so this way the aura iteration is complete. So in short, it is now from this to this area, it's going to rotate time to time, it's going to make changes, it's going to take one value from the list, it's going to display all the values in the column line number 55, 58 and 61. Again it's going to rotate, again it's going to show, again it's going to rotate, and this way the final output we are going to get is something like this. Okay, next, this is component and this one is done. Now go for controller, and here now it's just calling the helper function. So let's go to helper, and in the helper, please note, in the helper, let me show you by adding some kind of comments. Now see here in the helper, we are just first of all calling the apex class, and in that class we have a function get account record. So please note, whenever you want to call first of all any function in apex class, anyways you know that we need to declare that at the top, that which controller this component is going to use. So this is the function, this is the class name, display customer list class, and come to the helper. Now directly you can just call component.get c dot get account record. So when you are going to mention c, Salesforce automatically can understand that it's calling from a controller, and that is nothing but the server side controller. So from server side controller, wherever we have this function get account record, at that point of time it's going to show us the information. So let me show you that class. So let me open that class and then show you how actually it's working. So copy the class name and open the class name, open and paste the class name, paste the class name and double click. So you can see there is a function called as get account record. Okay, and come to this helper, and you can see get account record. So we are calling and we are taking the control of that function, and as it's an action, because you know even in Visual Force page and even here we have action, so we are just declaring variable action. We are declaring, or we can taking the hold of that controller function. So we're ready with the function. Now it's time to take an action. So to this action we set a callback. We say that pass this value, execute the action and come back. Okay, then this we are getting a reference to this component, and function we are going to call after this is done is this anonymous function, which is going to respond as the response value. Next, now we are checking the status here. So if the status that we can get is only by response.get set, so whenever any, so here what will happen is, first of all try to understand this. So first of all, we are taking the control, we are taking the hold of the function which is present in apex class. Okay, then whenever we make action dot set call back, it does nothing but calls the function, and after calling it expects something as a return. Okay, call and come back. So call, come back and call this function. So call this function and come back, and here we have function anonymous function response. Now here please note, in this process in this process it's going to come back with some value, so that we can check when this control is going to come back from server side to this helper. Then first thing that we do is we check what actually is the response, because the return value is response. In short, the function is get the value response. There is a function called as get state. So in the response we have get state, so we can get the state of this, we get the state of this data, whatever is there, success, failure. So if it is success, then only we need to proceed. And by the way, there is also one best practice, which is nothing but component that is valid. Now please note, when you are going to have the state equal to success, it makes very clear that whatever value you got from Salesforce side, it's nothing but proper and it's success. The response thing, when we go for the valid, then it has some kind of best practices that we need to follow. So please note, whenever whenever, if it is not, the reason why we use valid is, let me explain you by one example or scenario. So see, whenever you if in the time it took to get some kind of information from server, and let's say we just change the screen, and we have unrendered some kind of component that was making the request. In short, the component which is making the request is it is not present, or it may be destroyed. In this case, you still have a reference to that component, correct, but it will not longer be a valid. So simply it will check whether the component has been destroyed or not. Okay, so let me mention here, when we get a callback from a server side function using action dot, this is only we need to know that this is specifically used for ensuring the best practice, not compulsory, but please note it's a best practice. Okay, so when we call the set callback using set callback, then to ensure the caller component is not destroyed, which is possible if we switch the component or unrender, then there is no presence of caller, and then there is no meaning of giving response. So so in such case, is valid checks before giving response if the component is not yet destroyed. Please note, this is best practice, not mandatory, but we will always stick with best practice whether it's mandatory or not. For our future purpose, for our quality of work, we should stick with best practice. Okay, so if the component which is going to call is still valid and the state is success, we are getting the success from this response, then only you do one thing. There is one more function called as get return value. So let me tell you that also. Response dot get state. Another thing you need to remember, this function helps us to get the state of the callback activity, and we can understand it was success or failure. Okay, next thing, and which is also one important function, which is respond that get return value. Very this is very important. Okay guys, so you must know all these things, because these things you are going to use almost every time in every component. This function gives us data that is being returned from return from hold on, this is also very important. Now, so here what I'm saying that, okay, what is the value you're getting from server? Okay, I know that the value, because anyways we are the people who are going to write the code, right? So there should be no question from your side. It would be a silly question that you are, if something comes to your mind, okay, how we know what values are coming? It's our work, right? We know, we are the developer, so we know what values are coming. Okay, so here we have clearly mentioned the return type of this is list of account. Here we are having a straightforward query. What it's saying, just calling the function, then return. What will it return? A list of account, and what it's going to contain, select id, name, phone number, type of account, where type not equal to null, limit equal to 100. That's it. Okay, and this is one of the style of writing the code. We can modify this also if you are not comfortable with the this kind of shortcuts. Many pro developers follow the shortcuts, mostly by pro people, but this all depends on your comfortable, because it's not compulsory to follow the standard. Customer doesn't care what you're a pro coder or what you coder you are. They just need result. That's it. Okay, so you can make it simplify like this, and it's always good to go with this format, because mostly no one is going to worry about this kind of complex code. They only want result. That's it. We can just modify our account where type equal to null, and limit equal to 100, and then just remove this, and then return. Okay, that's it. So now you know very well return type is list of accounts. So come here and get the response directly to the component, especially the iteration helper component, which actually you are using. Now see here, go to component and see what is ACC list. So this is nothing but the variable that is going to contain the account records, the list of account records. You can see here. Okay, we just created the array, so it's going to contain list of account records. So this way you can pass the value from apex class to component, from server side to browser of the user, and this value is directly mapped with this iteration. So that's it. This iteration will get the value, it will iterate, it will display, problem solved. Okay, let me go to control helper, and that's it. And now this is something important in queue action. Let me just paste it here above that, and now let me tell you what is queue action. Very useful, very important. By the way, this was a very important interview question asked in IBM USA. So the question was, why action when back for a server side action, no matter we are calling only one till that function, or I would say controller. Better word is controller. That is function, or let's say controller function. So to make it easy for any type of student, whether you are a regular student or an expert student or a new student, still that controller function can call many other server side functions. Now see here, let's say you are calling, pay attention what is the meaning of that. Let's say you are calling this function, right? You are calling right now this function. Now suppose in this function I have written another code by which is going to call class A's function A. Then from that class B's function B. Then from that class C's function C. And let's say we are performing such kind of activity, multiple things are going in the background. So this way activities are happening in background, then to ensure all will be executed as per expectations, this function will keep them on queue and ensure all will be executed. So it's a very important thing. We must use this because if any kind of activity, multiple things happen, right? Our code in real time the project will be 20, 30 lines, 40 lines, calling another function to function. So these all things should happen in a proper sequence. So this is the responsibility of this entity, and that is the reason we must use this in our code, like this line number 20, line number 17. Okay, and that's it. So all the work is done, and this should be at the end of the action callback. So see, at line number 16 action callback completed. Okay, so this should be at the immediate end. This should be present as soon as code ends, immediately after that. Okay, fine. So now it is done. It's time to go for now the apex class. So this is straightforward. We have apex class called a display customer list class, and or enabled must write, otherwise this function is not callable in uh, lightning component. It's going to return the value list of account, and we always use static functions in lightning to call it easily from class name. I'm declaring a list. In the list I'm passing one query, and you know very well, you learn in the classic syllabus, the developer syllabus, whenever you fire a query, the return type is list. So I'm returning the list also, whatever I'm getting in, that's it, done. Okay, so if you are clear with this entire picture, then please say yes in the chat box. Everyone clear? So I can just move to next level. Okay, so now let me do one thing. So just give 1 second. Now let me go for another example. Let's go for, now please note whatever assignment is given, this assignment you need to perform and work in the context of HDFC customer details, what I told you. So we are working on HDFC insurance project. So for that project you are going to work on this format. Okay, so please ensure you are ready with this information, and this all to modify changes. And I hope you are having this um, entire code which I mailed you. So ensure you have the entire code available with you. And yeah, so now it's time to go for something new and learning something interesting. So now till this point we got lots of information about now dealing with the server side controller. Now anything comes across you where you need to deal with server side controller, you can do that. Client side controller, you can also do that. And now it's time to go for the next level. Here what we are going to see now, here what we are going to see is, suppose in Salesforce environment, you have a requirement, and by that requirement there is a need of working on some lightning functionalities and all. So at that time we will be working and on that activity, and we are going to prepare that. So for that, uh, sometimes the requirement comes that customers see this in my visual force page. Okay, now in this case, the what actually will be our step for that we are going to also see, because mostly in Visual Force page we go for the functionality of lightning out. But apart from that, also there are some requirements where a customer will be asking that show us the detailings or show us the information in the lightning mobile application. Okay, so that also sometimes is a requirement which you need to deal. Okay, so these are all the things which you need to understand how we can take the benefit of this component. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you that whenever you are going to work on any Visual Force page, then how exactly we need to work on this. So let me tell you first of all how we can perform this activity and show you the example. So let's do one thing. Let's create now or learn now how this code. Now this is completely learning in lightning, working in lightning experience. Okay, there is no doubt about that. It's working in lightning experience. But there are so many projects in the market. Still they are going with classic format. Now here what you can do, or what is the business requirement is, as customers are not comfortable to directly move on lightning, what they want initially, you perform some kind of work in lightning component and give the result in lightning, give the result in Salesforce classic. So please note, whenever you want to work on lightning functionalities and give the experience or give the results in Visual Force page that is classic, then this is the very best example to go for lightning out. Okay, it's a very popular interview question and very useful concept. So let me tell you something about that, let me explain something about that, and then we'll start working. So please note that we can add lightning components to Visual Force pages to combine features you have built using both solutions, because in real-time projects it's not always possible for you to directly jump to lightning. And this, to implement new functionality using lightning component and use it in the Visual Force page, we go for the lightning out. It's a very powerful flexible feature that lets us embed lightning component into all almost any web page. Okay, so when we use Visual Force page, some of the details become simpler. For example, you don't need to deal with authentications and all, and it becomes very easy because Salesforce is Visual Force Salesforce only. Okay, so in other ways, using the lightning component for Visual Force page is just like using lightning out. And this is done by below steps. Let me first of all mention what is lightning out. Very important thing. Lightning out is a, by the way, very powerful thing for all those projects to help people like you and me, where customer is in hurry, expecting lots of things from lightning but not ready for going for full lightning experience. Then what we can do? He's asking this also, he's asking that also. How we can give both the solutions? He's asking lightning benefits also, he's saying that no, I'm not ready to go for lightning experience. You guys are not comfortable with lightning look and feel. Then mostly these guys do like this, because when you go for lightning, you see here, see everything is different, right? Like you just start working on a record, you start creating any record, everything is different for these guys, and these guys are not comfortable. Mostly those people, the company managerial people and the senior people, they make some problem. I'm not ready, we are not comfortable, how to search, how to enter. So these guys make some problem for us, and in this case they also ask lightning features. They say we saw these things in lightning, we heard this thing in conference, we saw lightning can do this, lightning can do that, and on the same side they said we need some more time to go for lightning experience fully. And in this case, people like you and me face the problem, we get sandwiched. So in this case, you have best solution, lightning out. Try to understand. Many times customers are not ready to fully move to Lex, but on same time they need some amazing features of lightning. Then here lightning out is a big relief for developers. Okay, so what happens here? We will first here we will first create lightning component, and we will first create lightning component and the full functionality, okay, of course, which is of course compatible for LEX. That is fine. In tomorrow we are using LEX. It's okay. It will is ready. No problem. We will call in via page. That's it. Problem solved. Okay. This we can use in VF as well as on any external website as well. Now this is a very important interview question. Recently there was one interview to one of my students, and that was in Google. They asked how you can show our lightning component on our website which is having no connection to Salesforce. Now please note, we can do this by lightning out, where we will create a JavaScript link between web page and lightning function. Anyways, this is done by lightning out only. Okay, so this is possible by this lightning out. Remember this, they asked the question how you can bring the lightning component outside. So this is by lightning out. Okay, so how we can do this now? First of all, let me do one thing. Let me first of all create a Visualforce page. So let's go for the journey of classic, that is Visualforce page, and let me close everything, save all and close all. Click on file, click on new, click on Visualforce page. Okay, so training, then view, or let's say calling lightning component. How we can do this? Okay, so this is Visualforce page. Now before you proceed, you need to follow some certain rules. Rule number 1. And yeah, by the way, let me just mention one more thing here. While using while using lightning out for VF, we don't need to worry about authentication and security and all, because VF is part of same. Alright, so we don't need to worry about this. That's the benefit. Just directly call and that's it. Okay. Yeah, so now let me show you the code how you can achieve this. So I'm going to call the Visualforce page. Now certain rules, remember. Rule number 1, add lightning component to Visualforce JavaScript. Like first of all, add the lightning component for Visualforce JavaScript library to your Visualforce page. Okay, so that is possible by using include lightning. Okay, so what you need to do is just let me show you. Just come here in the Visualforce page. The first thing you need to do is this, so that it will be capable it will be capable to show a lightning component on the page. So let me just here, and below that let me also mention this, what to note in 1. This gives capability to view a page to hold display lightning component. Okay, let me go for next. This is step number 1. Step number 2. We now need to create the connection between the lightning application that declares the component. In fact, which is going to call the component, and then we need to write the JavaScript function that creates the component. Okay, so let me now mention this in the notes. 3 steps for implementing the lightning out. So just give 1 second. So everyone clear till this point? Everyone clear to this point? Okay, now let me just show you this. So steps. Now see here. So these are the steps we are going to follow. Okay. So was step number 1 done? Step number 2, create a reference to lightning application. Create a reference or create a lightning component lightning app. Okay, that declares your component. So we need to create now a lightning application. Okay, in our Visual Force page. So let me do that also. Now for that what we are going to do, just for that what we are going to do is go to your create, like what we need to do, that create a reference a lightning dependency application. So for that what we need to do is use the lightning component to Visual Force page by the functionality lightning out. Okay, so do one thing, let me mention this as a step number 4. Let me do this one, steps to add, and step number 4, and add this to lightning component. I will explain everything. Okay, nothing to worry, just these are the steps we need to follow. Okay, so step number 1, what we need to do is create the include library. That is done in the Visual Force page. It is done. Step number 2, now do one thing, we need to first of all start working on this code. So now let me just show you one sample code what we need to work on in the lightning component. Let me just mention that. So now look at this. Whenever we are, now let me show you the lightning component. See here, we are going to call the lightning component. Let's call the same thing, customer detail component. Okay, we'll call the same thing. So customer will display this one. Okay, so call this or open this. So we have this app, right, which is going to show this. Okay, this one. Okay, this one, list of customers. So we will go for that activity. So now let me show you what actually we are going to do here, and how we are going to implement the functionality. Step number 1, what we need to do is just we need to proceed and mention any kind of lightning component. Now here please note that whenever you are going to proceed for a lightning component, the first step that you need to do is first of all mention what exactly is going to be the functionality of that. So now we already mentioned by lightning out, that is done. The second thing which you need to do is now in the lightning application, don't forget to mention in the lightning component. So let me just show you. Go to lightning application and don't forget to add now this to your lightning application. So this way this application will be becoming this application will become capable of using in the lightning out. Remember this, okay? Next, and this way then you can very easily implement the functionality, and it will work in that format, in that context. So this is something which we use regularly whenever we want to fetch any kind of functionality like this. So this is point number 2. Next, and this is necessary because we want to tell Salesforce that in what case, in what area we are going to follow the functionality of lightning component, and in what case we are going to take the advantage of lightning component. So these are both necessary, and add it like the way it's added, okay? And now next thing, so till this point everyone clear why we need to add that functionality there? Everyone clear till this point? Okay. Now next thing what we need to do is just add that lightning out and we can mention this like this, okay? And by the way, we don't need to worry about SLDS extend and all. We can just go for lightning out and it will take care of the rest of the functionalities. So you can see you can add it like this, okay? Next, so save this work. Now once it is done, then next thing which we need to do is now create a lightning application which is going to connect the Visual Force page, and it's going to call the necessary functionality. So how we can achieve this, let me tell you. So first of all you need to write a code, and that code is going to be displaying the lightning use, that is the application name. And once this application name is mentioned, then we need to write the component name, okay? So what we do actually is first of all we call a function lightning use, and in that we declare the application name. Once it is done, we call the concept of lightning create component, so that will help us to create the lightning component and declare the component name, which actually is your component information, so that from that application the component will be called. The name should be correct and as per the expectations, and once you add this, then you can just simply proceed for saving it, okay? So let me show you one code, a syntax for that. So code, I would say syntax code is this, okay? So first of all write your Visual Force page, and then don't forget to include lightning, and you can just remove this id will not need it, so you can remove this. Then write a script. First of all, this you need to write exactly, okay? So first of all, there is a function called as lightning use, which will use now a lightning application, okay? So mention the application name here, and then call another anonymous function. This function will create the component on your Visual Force page. You mention the component name, and that's it. You want to call after that any function and all, you can call that. Otherwise you can simply neglect this, that's also fine, okay? And that's it. This create component is closing here, and this lightning use is closing here, and that's it, okay? So create component closes close here, and also here uh, lightning use closed. That's it. Now your work is only this: mention the name at line number 33, component name, and mention line number 31. That's it. Apart from that, we don't need to do anything. Okay, so now here I'm going to give you example. Now this is the example. Okay, so copy this Visual Force page code and paste it here. What is our application name? Go to the application and check what is our application name. Training display customer list application. Okay, so mention that training display uh, customer list. That's it. This is our application name, training display customer list. Okay, and now just mention your component name. What is your component name? So my component name, I'm just going to copy this and just going to come here and mention the, just copy again, copy, and mention the component name. That's all. Okay, so this way we need to declare, and this way in a very easy manner this Visual Force page will help you to call lightning component, and this is something which we guys use regularly in real-time project. By the way, this is a useful feature you are also going to use regularly. Okay, so now once it is done, once this functionality is implemented, now just give 1 minute, let me show you something else. Just 1 minute, guys. Okay, guys, it was I think some kind of network issue. So fine. Everyone clear till this point? All clear? Everyone clear till this point? Whatever we saw. So there is a question in the chat box. So let me read that. So in short, you create a whole Lightning application, component, controller, helper function, server side controller, and then add that component application to web page by lighting out and create the component in the script. Exactly correct. We need to do the full functionality and entire work in the we need to do the entire work in lightning. We just need to know, need not worry about anything in terms of customers environment and all. Do everything in lightning, and finally once it is done, then after that you just need to create the script. In that script we just need to mention what actually is the lightning application and the component that we are going to use, and that's it. So this way you can very easily implement the functionality, and this is especially we need to use whenever your customers are not ready for migrate into lightning functionality. Okay, so this is something very regularly we use. So yeah, so that's all with today's session. Everyone clear from the beginning till the end? Then we are going to show in the practically how we can call multiple lightning components, and we are going to call this. Everyone clear from the beginning till the end, whatever you saw? Okay, great. So tomorrow in the next session, we are going to see then how we can work on the lightning, because it's like more than 1.5 hours now. And here we are going to first of all understand in next session how we are going to call this the practical demonstration of the lightning out. And then we are going to work on the functionalities necessary to that, and what are the steps by which we can use in multiple ways in terms of any kind of web applications, and all these things we'll discuss in the next session. And then we'll start something new which is called as eventing and all. Have a great